Hey guys, welcome to our review of Kamen Rider Saber, episode, what is this, 18? 17? As always, I'm your host, the
Uh,
Frozen Stratos. Here with me today we have
the Cinder
a dude,
Blaze.
welcome back. The title will be correct. Anyways,
It's
okay,
17.
cool. We got done watching this episode a few days ago, but some stuff happened in between, a live stream, some news. So now we're just about ready to get to it. We're going to talk about all of your guys' thoughts, but before that, let's just dive into what we thought. And Alex, I thought, um, middle of the road. Like, it didn't hurt me as much. Like, the logic that the main character went through to, like, I don't know, to not want to fight the monster was really poor. But outside of that, we had some nice, like, oh hey, he's the sword dude is getting familiar with his surroundings, and there's some interesting stuff there. There's some fun stuff there at least. And antics
Yeah.
is what I am here for.
Or we were kind of like looking for it. It was kind of what I was expecting from the Blue episode that was supposed to happen like 10
Mm-hmm.
episodes ago or something. And I guess we get it here. It was, and it felt weird because I'm not really attached to this character
Mm-hmm.
as much as like the other ones. And they're just kind of like, well, here's a new guy. You're going to have to like him. And like, it felt like a little bit like too much because we've already settled with the
Yeah.
cast and they just kind of like rip it away from us. And then like when they kind of like stick this new guy in here, like he's all right, but I'm not like I don't care for him
Mm-hmm.
too much. I thought it was kind of funny how he was just like copying everyone's outfits except Toma's because even as a sword, this guy has some sense in him.
Oh, you
Uh, th-
said it. You said
I
it.
said it during the
Yeah,
watch
but
along.
it's still
Yeah,
just as funny. I.
I just
Oh.
thought I had to stick it in here, and God, like little stuff like that kind of like helped me through it.
You have to
I
make
think
your own
May was
fun.
also yeah. I thought like May was also
Yeah.
pretty fun because they just like had to let her react to everything that was
Mm-hmm.
going around, and she's really good for stuff like this. I
Right.
thought like when we'd have like the Knights of Logos or whatever, and then them kind of being clueless about the human
Mm-hmm.
world, and just kind of having them like bounce off of May for stuff like that, and then like
Yeah.
likewise, when they're talking about Knights of Logo stuff, her reactions to like not knowing what's happening there,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would have been like a nice balance. So here we have this side of it, and it works.
Yeah.
So
And on paper, I feel like I should be disliking this a lot more than I do. Cause like I don't like the forced angst, and the last few episodes leaned in pretty hard. And also, I like the side characters more so than our main character. And then we just didn't get them. But when we did, they were steeped in that angst, and I was not there for it. They didn't turn on a single light in the South Pole, because I guess we're just gonna go off of the Northern Lights or whatever the hell. Um, Aurora
I have no
Borealis,
idea.
whatever.
Yeah, that made no sense. Like, why are they taking orders from the Southern base when obviously they can't even afford to power their own
Yeah,
library? They can't even afford that giant clusterfuck thing in the middle
yeah.
where they download all the books. So
They have
they obviously don't
some
have this shit
lawn
together.
chairs. Uh,
Wait, are we sure that was the Southern base, or was that just their base? Except,
they took away the central thing
the
and put chairs.
yeah, without their mom there, like no one's
They,
paying the
I mean,
bills, and they're just kind of like, well, we gotta sell it.
they had that like establishing shot in the south. Oh wait, it looked like a different icy area, or it could have just been the northern base, except in the dark. But I'm pretty sure it was a southern base. Um, hmm.
I mean, if it was icy, it was just probably like the Yeti of the
Yeah,
week.
yeah. That's another thing that had promise, and it made the show worse.
Yeah, it's
The internal logic of um Hey, alright, let's fight this monster. Oh no, it was actually a person. I turned that monster from a monster into a person because it was a person. Oops, I almost killed this lady that I know? Well, now I'm getting cold feet. I don't want to attack it anymore. And I'm going to
To
stop the attack from happening.
to be fair, that is the first time it's happened in this series. That it was like the first time it's happened in this series, and I I understand Toma's kind of like hesitation. Like
Sure.
he probably got lucky that one time that he didn't like kill her with his finishing move because that's what happens with all the other like lackeys
Mm-hmm.
that he's been fighting week after week. So this time he decides, you know what, I'm gonna go in like a much stronger form, but just not fighting it because he can probably
Right.
contain the Yeti in it a
Sure.
lot easier with that. So I was like, all right, that's fine. And then you look at the episode count, it's like, oh, it's 17. And like I understand it for a series like Ultraman because like usually they don't like they kill them like every week up until like a certain point where they start having some doubts
Mm-hmm.
about it. For this one, we usually have like the monsters of the week being like human or in like 01 like human gear, something that we feel attached
Mm-hmm.
to, and they kind of like get into that within like the first few episodes and help establish the premise of
Right.
the show. But now that they're like redoing this whole thing, or the whole dynamic in episode 17, like it makes sense that it's here, but just like it feels weird because it feels really late into the series, and we're just like, why are you guys going over this? Even though it actually makes sense at this point in time. So that's that's kind of like why, like, despite it being weird, despite me hating things, the villains always shit.
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
just say
yeah.
that. Like they have like little fight scene in the very beginning, and like this guy has like some fucking like tassels or shit like flowing out of his pants in that fight
And
scene,
they
and I'm
all
just
just
like,
yelled,
this.
Boku Atasidi!
That will always get hate from
Yeah,
me
yeah,
for
yeah.
this show. But everything else, I was like,
Well, I mean,
this was fine.
I agree with you to an extent, but also like we've seen it done so many times, and they went not just a predictable route, but like it kind of talked down to us. And I guess that's helpful for new kids hopping on, sure, but like it didn't. I feel like it could have been blocked or portrayed better. The way that the effects worked out and the way that they decided to visualize everything made it seem like, oh, we'll just poke it out of her and then she'll pinata the book and she'll be fine. Um, I don't know. But what I do know is that we got comments. You want to dive into some of
We
those?
did.
All
Yeah,
right.
sure.
So this first one comes from Ryu Gunno, who says, "This episode was decent, nothing too spectacular, but I would say it was bad. But I wouldn't say it was bad. Yuri seems
Yeah.
like a fun character, and the effect on this shadow form is something I wasn't expecting. It also wasn't good. I know it's not something we'll see all the time, but it was still cool to see. It was also nice to see the sort of logos talk discuss Toma. And I like how Rintaro still believes in Toma, even if he still has his loyalty to the organization. Also, pretty funny to see that Toma's first instinct to save some cold people was to cook them alive. Nothing too much to say, really. Again, it was a decent episode.
Yeah. I forgot that he almost killed a
That
bunch of
yeah, that was
people.
pretty funny. Um,
Um,
it negated like it eventually got to middle of the road.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
All
say
right.
that.
Next up, Neo Gavin. So this is the new Gavin. I don't know what happened to the old Gavin, but this is new Gavin. Not gonna lie, since last eps, Toma has been wearing the Sukasa outfit, and next week He will be cosplaying as Naotaki. Is that a promotion for the Router Time Geo versus Decade, which will air in February, or just an Easter egg? No, I think he's just bad at choosing clothes. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, Rajik Rasul says, I'm going to keep it real. Nothing too special, just your typical Saber episode. I like where Yuri doing some dress up, and when he got the girl's outfit, it was funny. I like the fight scene. It was nice, especially the shadow puppet. Not excited about next week. Hope it's a Sakamoto episode. How it sucks that we can't get excited about a Sakamoto episode. Not excited about next week. Hope the sort of logos will apologize by action, speak louder by words, or words to prove they can be trusted again. I I don't
I
I
don't.
don't.
For me, like I personally liked the shadow form. It looked awful, but I felt like it worked well with the gimmick, and
I appreciate the
they
ambition
still
and the
went.
vision, but the execution fell
Yeah,
flat and it made it look funny.
it looked funny, and I enjoyed it for looking
Sure.
funny. It wasn't like that serious of a thing, and
Mm-hmm.
like that, like me not taking Yuri that seriously, like I don't mind it at all.
Yeah.
So
It's weird though.
yeah,
I hear talk of, oh yeah, your typical Saber episode, but I feel like a typical Saber episode makes big swings and gets worse. This one managed to stay middle of the road. Like,
yeah, it didn't get
yeah,
worse in the episode.
it was technically an improvement. And like I said, on paper, this should be one of my least favorite episodes, but it was just middle of the road. Yeah. So standard in
Yeah.
terms of enjoyment, but not standard for Saber for me at least.
Hey, maybe it's like, like little curves, like it's just been diving, and it's flattening out. Maybe it
God,
bounces
I
back
hope
up.
so. I want to enjoy this show. I would very much like to. Um, Next up, we have Double the Unknown, who says this episode was fine. I guess it was a standard first part and a Rider two-parter, so nothing special. But what now?
Literally everyone has like the same comment. Yeah, it was all right, I
Yeah.
guess.
But also nothing really terrible. Yeah, middle of the road, perhaps. The big question now is if the show will find ways to make this formula interesting, or if it will become repetitive like Zero One's competition arc. I actually spent last week rewatching the first 5 episodes and came to the realization that Saber actually has more coherent story than I realized. The show has too much going on in each episode, so it was really difficult remembering things from week to week, but by binging it, the flow was definitely smoother. I still don't think it's that good, but Saber might be one of those shows that is better to binge than to watch from week to week. That I mean, it could be, but also like, the more you watch something, the more familiar you get with it, and then uh, it starts to have like a more positive impression in your mind just because you are familiar with it. I think I watched a
Yeah.
psychology video on it or something, but like, uh, your enjoyment is always going to improve upon the second watch and progressive watches. I think.
And I feel like um we can also like fill in some of like the gaps that they were like trying to like establish in the first
Yeah,
episode.
and like
Like uncon
you already have a base level knowledge, and now you're just trying to pick up information that you missed before. And my big issue with Saber, especially initially, was that they threw too much at you at once. They expected too much out of you, and that's not okay. Don't never do that. Never just exposit everything, especially if I'm gonna have to read all of it. I hate reading. Um, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, absolutely valid. It might be smoother on because I'm sure, recent years it's been more the case that people are able to binge certain things. Um, yeah. Sorry you watched all 5 episodes though. All right, next comment. This one comes from Tree Cobb. I was a okay apps, and it was a typical Saber apps. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this episode, hit the like button and subscribe. If you want to hear more from us each week, tell us in the comments down below what you thought about, our thoughts about, your thoughts about this episode. And then also, while you're down there, there are links to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement by donating money, signing petitions, and watching videos. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it.
Yep, see ya.
It was good apps.
No, it wasn't apps. I think I caught like a little bit of this like when I was dipping in and out of the streets. It looked like anyone wanted to talk about that episode.
Oh, not at all.